Hey, my famous fans, buckle up for another roller coaster ride of scandal and celebrity slip-ups here on Famous Faces Scoop TV. Former NASCAR driver Danica Patrick has launched a brutal attack on Kamala Harris and her celebrity guest speakers and stuck the knife in by saying she never went to a Diddy party. Patrick was talking in Pennsylvania, a crucial battleground state for Trump and Harris ahead of Tuesday's election. Speaking to thousands of fans in Lititz, Patrick, who says she has never voted in an election before this one, rounded on the celebrities who have come out in support of the Democrats. Now I'm speaking. I'm not paid to be here. I don't have a teleprompter. I'm winging this right now, everybody. I don't need a telephone, she said, referencing rapper Cardi B, who endured teleprompter issues at her speech for Harris before eventually reading her words off a phone. Patrick continued, I never went to a Diddy party. I'm doing this because I love this country and there's nobody that's been tested more than Trump. Danica Patrick made savage remarks about Kamala Harris and her celebrity endorsers. Patrick, 42, spoke at the key battleground state of Pennsylvania on Sunday. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are locked in a neck-and-neck race for the White House. While there are no suggestions any celebrity who has campaigned for Harris went to a Diddy party, some who have campaigned with her have crossed paths with the scandalized Diddy, whose real name is Sean Combs. Combs is in jail awaiting trial on unlawful transportation and organized crime charges. He denies all of the allegations, insisting he is being unfairly targeted. Jennifer Lopez, who endorsed Harris at a rally in Las Vegas on Thursday, dated Combs for 2 years from 1909 until 2001. Barack Obama has collaborated with Combs before. In 2004, he was interviewed by him on MTV at the Democratic Convention. At the same event that year, Diddy also interviewed Hillary Clinton, who lost to Trump in the 2016 election. Patrick also stoked the tensions between the two parties in the same speech, saying the choice was beyond Democrat or Republican. We're not living in a time of Republican versus Democrat. We're living in good vs evil, she said. We're living in right vs wrong. And I want to be on the right side of that history because this is the most important decision we will see in our life, getting Donald Trump into office. Last week, Cardi B needed a phone to endorse Kamala Harris due to technology issues. Patrick also seemed to thinly hint at Democrats collaborating with scandalized P Diddy before. The 42-year-old added, I just want to say I've never voted before, but this time around I have to vote. It's that important. The person that runs this country should ultimately be running it very much like a business. I can't really think of a better businessman than Donald Trump, followed Patrick with an appearance at the rally. Later on Sunday night, he was campaigning in Georgia, another key battleground state on the road to the White House. Patrick previously endorsed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. before following his lead and backing Trump, the Republican nominee, to reclaim the presidency. Nancy Pelosi stumbled over her words as she accused former President Donald Trump of suffering from cognitive degeneration. The former Speaker of the House joined MSNBC shortly after Trump went on a wild, rambling rant in Pennsylvania. Speaking on MSNBC on Sunday morning, Pelosi said, I think what the ex-president just said is further indication of his cognitive degeneration. Something is very wrong there. Before the 84-year-old started spluttering over her words, collecting herself, she continued, he's diminishing the power of the press, which is the guardian of our freedom and our country. She added, I think people who are thinking of voting for him have to know that he can't last as president for 4 years with his brain deteriorating. Pelosi also added that it might be Vice President Senator J.D. Vance who ends up as commander-in-chief due, which she described as a horrible thing. Trump delivered a conspiracy-laden speech just 2 days before the election, which including him talking about reporters being shot. He also suggested that he shouldn't have left the White House after his 2020 loss to Biden. Noting the ballistic glass in front of him after an assassination attempt earlier this year, he said, I have this piece of glass here, but all we have really over here is the fake news, and to get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much. His campaign National Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended the remarks, telling ABC News obviously he was joking. At one point during the ramble on Democratic cheating in elections, Trump demanded that the winner be announced on Election Day by 11 p.m. at the latest. At the rally on Sunday, Trump said he didn't think there needed to be glass in certain areas because it made him look bad on television. Trump in recent weeks has joked about Arnold Palmer's genitalia and held a rally at Madison Square Garden whose speakers who make crude and racist insults. It was the second time in recent days that Trump has talked about guns being pointed at people he considers enemies. He suggested former Rep. Liz Cheney, a prominent Republican critic, wouldn't be willing to support foreign wars if she had 9 barrels shooting at her with less than 48 hours before Election Day. Trump continues to promote falsehoods about elections and argue that he can only lose to Kamala Harris if he is cheated. Even though polls point to a tight race, a final poll by the New York Times has Trump behind Harris in 4 critical swing states: Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. They are tied in Michigan and Pennsylvania, and Trump is up by 1 point in Arizona. It's a razor-thin race with just 2 days to go to Election Day. The latest results follow a shock poll released Saturday night that had Trump behind Harris 3 points in Iowa, a solidly red state. The vice president is also closing the gap with Trump in the betting markets in a sign of momentum for her in the final days of the campaign. The former president's odds plummeted overnight after the results of the Des Moines Register poll were revealed. But in the first few hours of Sunday, his chances slightly improved, with still a tiny gap between him and Harris. Polling partners JL Partners have also seen movement in their election model following the stunning Iowa poll. Kamala Harris has been warned she runs the risk of losing the state of Pennsylvania and the election if she does not denounce anti-Israel activists who have appeared on the campaign trail for her. The incumbent vice president is set to campaign in Pittsburgh on election eve as the race for the White House enters its final hours alongside the likes of Lady Gaga. Backlash has been brewing in the city after her campaign hosted speakers who have blamed Israel for being partly responsible for the horrific October 7th attacks by Hamas terrorists. Pittsburgh Mayor Ed Gainey and Allegheny County Executive Sarah Inamorato both spoke at Harris events, despite previously saying Israel was responsible for the massacre. The two co-signed a statement with Democratic Rep. Summer Lee that claimed the violence did not start on October 7th. Their statement drew the ire of the Jewish communities across Pittsburgh, which accounts for a sizable chunk of the population, according to the New York Post. The outlet reported that the 400,000-strong Jewish residents in Pennsylvania are set to cast their ballots on Tuesday, and their votes are now on the line. With those votes now in jeopardy, Harris could potentially lose the state's 19 electoral college votes, which would see her chances of clinching the presidency evaporate. Several Jewish Democrats in Pittsburgh told the Post that they feel betrayed by the party over the issues. Mom of two Aviva Lubowski, 45, wasn't one of them, however, saying she would support Harris, but warned that Democrats should fear losing the Jewish vote. She said if the Democratic Party wants to retain its Jewish voter base, they have to eschew and denounce extremists in the party. Jennifer Murtazashvili, a Jewish political scientist at the University of Pittsburgh, told the Post she wasn't surprised to hear that Jewish voters were concerned. She said that around 60% of her liberal Jewish friends are all considering voting for Trump because they don't trust Harris to combat anti-Semitism. The mainstream progressive left has a major problem on its hands. How can we discern what her policies are except by the people she surrounds herself with, she said. First Lady Melania Trump, accompanied by President Donald Trump, puts down a white flower at a memorial for those killed at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. In more recent times, 3 Jewish students at the University of Pittsburgh were attacked on campus. Murtazashvili added, when you have faced the kind of violence that our community has faced here, and when you see the kind of violence facing Israel, this seems awfully existential. It was shocking to see that language after the mayor saw what happened to Jewish students in his own city. Harris supporter and a survivor of the Tree of Life massacre, Audrey Glickman, meanwhile, didn't blame the Harris campaign for trying to appeal to Arab and Muslim voters. She said Kamala Harris is not a squad member. She's been to Pittsburgh more than once and talked to us more than once and has worked on anti-Semitism as an issue. Polling in September revealed that Harris' support among Jewish voters was the lowest in more than 3 decades for the Democrats. Jewish voters in the U.S. are historically liberal, and the majority have voted for Democratic candidates in every single presidential election since 1924. Well, what a ride. Make sure you stick around, famous fans, because this election season is heating up more than a celebrity scandal. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss out on our deliciously dramatic updates. Until next time, stay fabulous and juicy.